With the warmer weather, we're starting to see a lot more bicycles on the roads, and nearly every year someone is hospitalized in Southwest Virginia after being hit by a car while riding their bike. That's according to the cyclists who participated in the Ride of Silence tonight through Radford. 10 News reporter Shane Dwyer tagged along for that ride. And Shane, this is designed to get people's attention.
Brittany, you know, it truly is a sight to see in Radford this evening. A long line of cyclists very purposely riding and very slowly riding. And they're designed to do that, like you said, to get people's attention. This is one of many across the world to honor those hurt and killed riding their bikes on roads just like that. And each year they say it becomes more important than the last to make a scene. The pop of the gears is the only thing you'll hear. It's strong heads, clear minds, and absolute solace.
It's a pretty powerful ride, actually, because nobody says a word.
Eric Johnson is on this year's ride, and he's thankful for it. Things very easily could have been different.
I had 4 broken ribs, concussion, broken toe, dislocated pelvis, and road rash from basically head to toe.
He survived being hit by a car to be one of the cyclists riding single file through Radford's Main Street. The annual Ride of Silence with their police escort purposely making drivers look.
If they're cyclists, they don't think in terms of there's a human life that's in danger if I'm not careful. That I could end that person's life.
Cyclists worldwide are doing the same thing Wednesday night to get people's attention. The New River Valley ride in its 12th year, starting after one of their own was killed back in 2008.
In the Radford, it's about an 8-mile ride, and it's almost like a funeral procession. It's very powerful, very moving.
Lori Buckwald is a co-organizer. Every year, cyclists get hit by cars. Never on purpose, of course, and that's the tragedy.
When you read police reports, when you talk to officers, the first thing people say after they hit somebody is, "Officer, I didn't even see him." And we want people to have their eyes open.
Johnson knows even with a ride like this, it's going to happen again. That's why he's having people sign petitions to get bike lanes and reduce speed limits in the city.
We're people too. We have families, and we would like to enjoy what we're doing, but we want to do that safely.
Safety for cyclists and safety for drivers, giving it the silent treatment and hoping it sticks. This year, the group also recognized the fact that police officers, firefighters, and tow truck drivers are hit on the side of the road, too, as they do their jobs. They want drivers to be thoughtful of following the Move Over law and help make sure everyone can go home safely. In the studio, Shane Dwyer, 10 News, working for you.